So this is Susan Collins on the Senate floor in her now famous speech before casting her vote for Brett Kavanaugh. This line is one that many have said made it one of the most memorable Senate speeches ever.
We must always remember that it is when passions are most inflamed that fairness is most in jeopardy.
But passions are still very inflamed, and now some members of the faculty and some alumni at her alma mater are calling for her honorary degree to be revoked because they think her vote was wrong. And that, among other things, it signaled that she was not concerned enough about ending campus rape culture. Jonathan Turley wrote about this story today and said this: these professors and graduates are seeking to retroactively punish Susan Collins for reaching a conclusion different from their own. These professors and students vividly demonstrate how power without principle is little more than a mob dressed up as a movement, he writes. Joining me now, Jonathan Turley, George Washington law professor and Fox News contributor. Jonathan, welcome. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.
So I should say right off the bat that I, too, am a graduate of St. Lawrence University. I know that you said that Susan Collins was the most famous graduate, and I would say that's true. But also Viggo Mortensen, Kirk Douglas, Eleanor Mondale, all of these people went to St. Lawrence. And I would also say that I've heard from many individuals, and there are many people who support her and who do not agree with the sentiment in this alumni letter or in this faculty letter. But that being said, this is a very strong letter, and it basically says that they want to remove one of the 2 honorary degrees that she got because essentially they don't like the conclusion she reached, Jonathan.
That's right. And what's most disconcerting is that you have almost 100 professors from virtually every department in the university signing this letter. The most fundamental obligation of professors is to preserve intellectual honesty and institutional integrity, to convey to students that a college or a university is a place for a diversity of ideas. There's no one path like the one described in this letter. There's multiple paths in a world full of different ideas. And that's what's so disconcerting. You know, this is a school with about 217 full-time and part-time professors. Almost 100 of them signed this letter.
Yeah, that's true. And they say that rescinding the honorary is not rooted in partisan loyalties. And they go on to say, though, that she received the award originally because she was, quote, willing to break party ranks. But then it turns out that when she did vote with her party, they want her to lose the degree. So they're saying that they recognize how great it was for her to break party ranks, but when she didn't and she, spoke her mind in another direction, that somehow that means that she doesn't uphold the values of the university?
That's right. They celebrated her independence of thought and action until that took her in a direction that they didn't agree with. You know, that's the truly sad aspect of this. This is a wonderful school. It has a really rich history.
Absolutely
and
does.
These professors, in my view, are leveraging that history and doing great harm to their institution.
You know, they also say that she cherry-picked the evidence, and they say that she was preserving the crucial role of evidence-based decision-making when she got the award. But they're saying she abandoned that because she didn't pay attention to the scientific evidence that said that this professor, Ford, understood memory better than they did, that scientists backed that up. There's no mention in the letter whatsoever of recognizing the other side of the equation, the non-corroboration. In fact, it says that her story was corroborated in the letter, but we know that that is not true. The story was not corroborated, Jonathan.
Yeah, look, reasonable people can disagree about the conclusions reached in the confirmation. There was a paucity of evidence. There was not direct corroboration. It came down to a credibility test for many. But what is so concerning is the argument of these professors that there is no other option. They say we're not doing this because we disagree with her position. We just believe that there's no ground upon which she could reach a different conclusion. Now, that's the type of imbecilic logic that leads to serious problems on universities.
You know, they also say that she showed unwarranted skepticism towards Dr. Ford's claim And as you say, everyone has a right to free speech, and they have every right to write this letter, to sign this letter, to start a petition. I don't think anyone argues with that. But to sort of not recognize that the other side of the argument also has validity, and that as a senator, when she got up there, she talked about the hours that she went through of the evidence and how difficult a decision it was for her to reach. So I just think to not recognize that she spent time and energy looking at everything is somewhat, an unfair academic criticism.
Well, it's bizarre. Half of this country believed that he should be confirmed. Half the Senate believed he should be confirmed. But these professors are saying that's not a good faith option. All of those people are somehow rape apologists, and that there's this rape culture at St. Lawrence.
By all accounts that I have read, and I went there a long time ago, so I talked to some people who are currently there. They said that is an absolutely unfair characterization. And, they say that there's a rape culture there, and then they say that they have a process for dealing with it, and that occasionally that process leads to punishment. I'm thinking, if there's a rape culture there, it needs to lead to punishment more often than occasionally, and you better be calling the local police to get over there and deal with it. But, I think that is not a fair assessment from everything I can tell of the reality on the campus. And they're not the only, this charge is all over the country.
Well, it's also very odd. You've got about half the faculty saying there's a rape culture on campus. That leaves the other half, I suppose, supporting the culture. I don't understand where this goes if half of your faculty is saying we need to deal something about our rape culture.
Well, we should say that the university says that they've never revoked an honorary degree, and there's no indication that they intend to do that. I did think, as a kicker, the end of the letter, which says this, at the end of this whole letter, we continue to be grateful for her willingness to be a regular speaker who inspires our students at our DC Connect events.
You're right.
I don't know if she's going to show up for the next DC Connect event, but I thought that was an interesting addendum at the end of the letter.
She might be a rape apologist, but we still prefer her to come and speak to us.
It's a wonderful school. I got a great education there, and I know there are a lot of people who feel on all sides of this. So, Jonathan, thank you for writing about it, and thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Martha.